My name is Ethan Cole. This happened in rural Oklahoma, just outside a town called Elk Ridge. Back in 2018, I worked the overnight shift at a 24-hour gas station off Highway 412. It wasn't the kind of place people stopped unless they absolutely had to. Cornfields on one side, empty highway on the other. From 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., it was just me. No security guard, 2 old cameras that barely worked, and a cheap owner who thought replacing equipment was a waste of money. Most nights were silent. The only sound was the faint electrical buzzing from the fluorescent lights. After a few hours, that sound becomes part of your brain. You stop hearing it until something breaks the silence. That night, it was 2:17 a.m. I remember because I had just looked at the clock out of pure boredom. And then the door chime rang. It startled me more than it should have. I looked up. A tall man walked in, mid-30s, broad shoulders, wearing a dark hoodie and jeans. At first, nothing seemed strange. Then my brain popped up. He was covered in blood, not a small stain, not a nosebleed. He was drenched. There was a heavy smear across his chest, thick streaks down his forearms, dry patches along his jawline. It looked fresh, too fresh. My mind tried to tell me it was paint. It wasn't paint. He walked calmly toward the drink cooler, like nothing was wrong, like this was just another Tuesday night. But his eyes, they were empty. No panic, no adrenaline, just nothing. He grabbed a bottle of sports drink, a pack of chips, and walked to the counter. I couldn't move. I was staring. He noticed, and then he smiled. "Relax," he said quietly. "It's not my blood." That didn't make it better. If anything, it made it worse. My heartbeat started pounding in my ears. Every instinct was screaming that something terrible had just happened somewhere nearby. I rang up his items without speaking. My hands were shaking so badly, I almost dropped the cash he handed me. He paid exact change, didn't break eye contact, then walked out. The door chimed again. Silence returned. I stood there for maybe 10 seconds. Then I ran to the window. I saw his car pulling out of the lot. The second his taillights disappeared onto the highway, I grabbed the phone and called 911. I told the dispatcher everything, every detail I could remember. Height, build, clothes, the blood. I was mid-sentence when the door chime rang again. My stomach dropped. I turned slowly. It was him. He had come back, and this time he wasn't calm. His jaw was tight. His eyes were burning. He must have seen me on the phone through the window. I hung up. Too late. He walked straight to the counter. "You call the cops?" His voice wasn't loud, but it was sharp. I shook my head. "No." He leaned closer. "I saw you." My throat felt dry. I raised my hands slowly. I didn't call anyone. He didn't believe me. And before I could react, he jumped over the counter. Not climbed, he jumped. We hit the floor hard. His hands wrapped around my throat instantly. I couldn't breathe. I'd never been in a fight before. I remember thinking this was how I was going to die, on a dirty gas station floor at 2:30 in the morning. I kicked, scratched, thrashed wildly. I could feel the sticky blood smearing onto my shirt, onto my face. My vision started going dark, and out of pure desperation, I screamed something. "I have a gun!" It was a lie, a complete bluff, but something in my voice made him hesitate, just long enough. He shoved off me, stared at me for half a second, then bolted out the door. I lay there on the floor, gasping, covered in blood, not knowing whose it was. Police arrived about 10 minutes later. They took my statement, checked the highway, searched nearby roads, they never found him. Nothing on the news, no reports of a body, no missing persons that matched the situation. It was like he disappeared into thin air. And for months after that night, every time the door chime rang, my heart stopped because I kept expecting him to walk back in, still covered in blood, still smiling, and maybe next time, not leaving. I was alone. Middle of nowhere, Oklahoma. Gas station sat under the dark sky. Dim lights buzzing, flickering, weak. Clock on the wall said 1:03 a.m. Too late for anyone. Too late for anything normal. I wiped the counter again. The rag smelled faintly of oil or blood. I couldn't tell. The hum of the fridge, louder than usual. Outside, the wind whispered, soft, low, like it knew me. I shivered, tried to shake it off. Then I noticed him, pump 4, standing still, watching. Tall, long coat, soaked but no rain. Hat pulled low, face hidden in shadow. I called out, voice shaking. Sir? Need help? Silence. I grabbed my flashlight, felt my heart thumping, hammering, echoing in my ears. Stepped outside. Gravel crunched under my boots. The man didn't move. Car, black Chevy Impala, sat there. Dust thick like decades of neglect. Windows opaque, impossible to see inside. Door locked, engine off. Yet the numbers on the pump were climbing. $7.12, $7.13, $7.14. I stared. No one there. Pump nozzle, moving slightly, dripping black liquid. Not gas, not diesel, something else. I swallowed. Cold settled into my chest. I called again. Sir, you need to pay or stop. Whispered voice answered, soft, hollow. Pay me. I spun. No one. Eyes? I felt them. Black, endless. In the shadows? Behind the car? Inside the pump? I couldn't tell. I stumbled backward. Flashlight flickered. Lights in the station flickered. Static hissed from the radio. Then his voice. My gas. Pay. Closer. All around me. I froze. I tried the door. Locks rattled. Nothing. I grabbed the emergency flare. Back door slammed shut, hard, like a fist. Footsteps. Slow. Deliberate. Wet. Squelching. Around me, I couldn't see, but I could hear. I ran. Windows rattled. Dust swirled in the air. Pump 4, still counting. Money, numbers, rising, climbing. $12.56, $12.57, $12.58. I didn't look again. I burst into the night. Gravel cut my palms as I fell. Wind whipping, whispering, voices echoing. I ran to the highway. Lights appeared. A car. Salvation? I waved. Driver stopped. I jumped in, barely. When I dared to look back, the gas station was gone. Nothing but empty lot, cracked asphalt, puddles from old leaks. Pump 4 disappeared. Black liquid, gone. Next day, curiosity. I checked the county records. Pump 4. Man shot there 30 years ago. Tried to rob the place. Clerk defended himself. Death on the spot. Since then, travelers report him. Late nights, pumping gas, staring, waiting, never paying. Weeks later, I still hear it. On quiet nights, static from a radio, whisper in the wind. Last customer. I avoid lonely highways now. Every gas station I pass, I never stop. I never want to see him again. But sometimes, in my dreams, I see the black Impala. Pump 4, dripping, hat low, coat wet, eyes, black, endless. And I wake up sweating. He's still out there, waiting for the next customer. And I know someday someone will stop. And then I'll hear it again. The air will go cold. The lights will flicker. The hum of the fridge will grow louder until it's all I can hear. And the whisper, soft, polite, but hollow, pay me. I won't be there, but someone else will. And he's patient, 30 years patient, waiting, counting, dripping, always waiting. I keep driving, I keep passing, but I'll never forget. Pump 4, the man, the whisper, because he's real, and he's still out there, waiting. I should have quit after the first attack. Most people would have, but I didn't. I told myself it was a random incident, a one-time nightmare. I needed the money, so I transferred to another location. Smaller town, still Oklahoma, still middle of nowhere. 3 months passed, nothing happened. I almost convinced myself it was over. Then one night, just after midnight, a black sedan pulled into the lot. It was too clean for that place, too polished. A man stepped out, tall, perfect posture, wearing a dark charcoal suit that looked expensive, not wrinkled, not dusty, like he had just walked out of a corporate meeting in Dallas. He didn't look at the pumps, didn't look at the store sign. He walked straight inside. The door chimed softly behind him. He didn't browse, didn't glance at the shelves. He came directly to the counter, and without saying a word, he reached into his jacket, pulled out a photograph, and slid it toward me. I looked down, and my stomach dropped. It was him, the bloody man. Same face, same empty eyes. The photo looked like it had been taken from far away, blurry, but unmistakable. I forced my expression to stay neutral, but inside, my pulse was racing. The man in the suit finally spoke. His voice was low, rough, like gravel. "Have you seen this man?" Everything inside me screamed to say no. So I did. No. He didn't blink, didn't react. He just stared at me, studying my face like he was measuring the lie. The silence stretched, longer than normal, long enough to make my hands sweat. "I've never seen him," I repeated. His jaw tightened slightly. Then he picked up the photograph, turned toward the door. I felt relief start to creep in. Then he stopped, turned back slowly, looked directly into my eyes. "I know you're lying." Then he walked out. The door chimed again, and he was gone. For the rest of the shift, I felt exposed, like the walls were thinner, like someone was watching. A week later, I noticed a silver SUV parked across from the station. It stayed there for hours, engine off, windows tinted. The next day, I saw the same SUV at the grocery store, different side of town, parked 3 rows away from my truck. That's when my stomach started to twist. Then one night, after my shift, I saw it again, on my street, parked 2 houses down from my apartment, headlights off, completely still. I didn't approach it. I went inside, locked every door, checked every window twice. 3 weeks later, at 2:08 a.m., glass shattered in my living room. The sound ripped me out of sleep. I grabbed the baseball bat under my bed, ran toward the noise. The house was silent, too silent. I flipped on the lights. My front window was broken, glass everywhere, and in the center of the room, a rock. No note, no message, but I understood. He knew where I lived, and he wanted me to know it. I quit the next morning, packed my things within a week, moved to a small town outside Amarillo. New job, new apartment, new phone number. I never saw the SUV again. But even now, if I see a silver SUV in my rear view, my chest tightens, because I still don't know who that man was, and I still don't know what he wanted. I'd been driving all day, 3 hours on the interstate from Phoenix to Tucson. Exhausted. My body was begging for rest. I still hadn't had enough caffeine to stay fully alert. My old truck rattled with every mile. No cruise control, no fancy driver assist, just me. Around 11 p.m., my eyelids started drooping. I needed to stop. Pulled off at the next gas station. It was deserted. I filled up the tank, smoked a cigarette, debated just pulling over and sleeping there. Decided a short nap would be enough. I parked in the corner of the lot, engine off, pulled out my jacket, laid down across the front seat, almost instantly asleep. When I woke, I felt a strange pressure on the back of the truck, a faint thumping noise. At first, I thought it was one of my tools in the bed. Checked quickly. Nothing. Dismissed it. Started driving again. The noise returned. A dull, rhythmic thump. Annoying at first, then unsettling. I turned the radio up to drown it out. For a few minutes, it worked. Then came the crack. Louder. Sharp. Something hit the rear glass of my truck. I froze. Turned around slowly. There he was. A shadowy figure standing in the truck bed. He was smashing the divider glass with a heavy tool. His movements were erratic, wild, animalistic. My heart stopped. I swerved, struggled to keep control. The truck spun slightly. I thought I was going to roll. Every second, I feared he would break through the glass. I slammed on the brakes. Finally stopped. Pulled off to the shoulder. Caught my breath. Fear had paralyzed me. Then I realized I had to confront him. I jumped out of the cab, ran to the truck bed. He jumped down, started running toward the brush off the highway. I chased him for a few seconds. It was pitch black. I had no idea if he was armed, completely alone. I stopped, turned back to my truck, heart racing. I inspected the glass. It was shattered. Cracks spider-webbed across it, dangerously close to breaking completely. I climbed into the bed to see what he had been hitting the glass with. Then I saw a trash bag, wrapped tightly, wet, smelled rancid, like rotting meat. I grabbed it quickly, tossed it into the brush. Hands red from whatever was on it. Felt sick, but I had no choice. Jumped back into the cab, drove off. Kept checking the rear view. He was gone. Weeks later, I told a friend to fix the glass. No questions asked. Even now, when I drive at night on lonely highways in Arizona, I check the truck bed. Always. Because I never knew who he was or why he chose me. I was alone. Rural Missouri. Highway stretched, flat, black, endless. Gas station lights flickered, weak, buzzing. Clock said 2:11 a.m. Too late for anyone. Too quiet. I cleaned the counter. Again, coffee burned my throat. Bitter, bitter like regret. The hum of the fridge, louder than usual. Wind outside, soft, whistling through cracks, carrying faint voices, maybe screams, maybe nothing. I shivered. Then I saw him, Pomp 7, old man, hunched, coat soaked, shoes muddy, face pale, wrinkles deep, eyes black holes, staring. He didn't move, just stood there, waiting. I called, voice shaking. "Sir, need help?" Nothing. Silence, thick, heavy, oppressive. I grabbed the flashlight, heart pounding, echoing in my ears, in my chest. Step outside, gravel crunching. He tilted his head, unnaturally, slowly, like a toy broken. Car? Rusty Ford pickup, engine cold, lights flickered weakly. He moved closer, boots squelching, wet, mud everywhere. No words, just black eyes, endless, staring through me. I tried to speak. "Sir, you should leave." No response, just the whisper, low, dry, almost polite. Last fill. Pump 7, nozzle moving, gas pumping, dripping black liquid, meter ticking, rising, $8.42, $8.43, $8.44. I stumbled back, shivering, numb. Wind gusted, door slammed hard, footsteps behind me, wet, slow, dragging. I couldn't see, but I could hear his breathing, low, rasping, close, circling. I ran inside, tried the phone, dead. Radio, static, then whisper, "Pay me." Closer, closer, echoing, impossible to ignore. I grabbed the flare, tried the back exit, slammed, blocked. I climbed through a side window, scraped knees, gravel cutting skin, ran, highway ahead, lights, maybe salvation. Car passed, I waved, screamed. Driver stared, slowed, then sped away, too fast, gone. Looked back, nothing. Empty lot, cracked asphalt, puddles from old leaks. Pump 7, gone. Old man, gone. Only wet trail, mud, leading nowhere. Next day, county records. Pump 7, 40 years ago, man died here. He tried to rob the place. Clerk shot him. Since then, late-night travelers report him, standing, pumping gas, black eyes, never paying, waiting, patient, endless. Weeks later, I still hear him. At night, the wind whistles, hums, whisper, last fill. I wake up, shaking, sweating. I never drive that road again. He's still out there, waiting for the next lost soul. And I know someday someone will stop, and he'll be ready. Cold, quiet, black eyes, endless, staring. And I will never forget. I was alone, somewhere in West Texas. Highway stretched, endless, dark. Gas station lights flickered, humming, weak, like dying. Clock said 12:47 a.m. Too late, too quiet. I wiped the counter, coffee brewing, bitter, burned my throat. Wind outside, whispering, twisting, carrying dirt, maybe voices. I shivered, told myself, it's nothing, just the wind. Then I saw her. Pump 2, young woman, hair soaked, coat torn, shoes muddy, face pale, eyes hollow. She didn't move, she just stared. I called out, Ma'am, are you okay? No answer. Just her, still, silent, watching. I grabbed my flashlight, heart thumping, heavy, echoing. Step outside, gravel crunching, her head tilted, slowly, unnaturally. Car? A white sedan, windows fogged, engine off, but headlights flickered, weak, blinking. She stepped closer. No sound, just wet mud squishing under her boots. I told her, "You need to leave. This place isn't safe." Nothing. She tilted her head more, her mouth opened slightly. A whisper, raspy, cold. "Fill it up." I froze. Pump 2, nozzle moving on its own, gas flowing, meter ticking, rising. $5.12, $5.13, $5.14. I backed away. Wind gusted, pushed me. The door slammed shut. Footsteps behind me, soft, wet, slow. I couldn't see, but I could hear. Her breathing, low, unhuman. I ran inside. Phone, dead. Radio, static, then whispering. "Pay me." Closer, closer, circling, echoing. I grabbed the flare, ran to the back door, slammed, blocked. I climbed out the window, fell, scraped my knees, gravel cutting my palms, ran to highway, passed a truck, waved, screamed. Driver stared, didn't stop, too fast, gone. Looked back, nothing. Empty lot. Pump 2, gone. Car, gone. Only a wet trail, muddy footprints leading nowhere. Next day, I checked records. Pump 2, 35 years ago, young woman killed in a robbery. She tried to escape, never made it. Locals still talk. Late nights, see her, pumping gas, silently, waiting. Weeks later, I hear it sometimes. Wind whistles, hums, soft whisper. Fill it up. I wake up, shaking. I never drive through that part again. She's out there, waiting for the next lost soul. And I know, someday, someone will stop, and she will be ready.